Welcome back to My Chronic Adventure, a podcast about chronic illness where some days you rest, some days you feel strong, and some days you just laugh about it because what else are you going to do? This is episode 5. I'm going to be talking about the healing process, the steps that I've gone through, where I'm at today, and where I kind of got started with it all. So healing isn't what I thought it was going to be in the beginning because there wasn't this idea that I was going to heal, that I was going to feel better. There was this expectancy that I was going to remain in this state of getting worse. Healing was very misunderstood. Physicians and neurologists were not talking about the things our bodies would and could naturally do to heal itself. It was only conversations about medications and only conversations about medications that would prevent me from getting worse, but nothing about healing. It was a very negative kind of conversation about this path that my life was going to take and the likelihood that I would end up into this secondary progressive state. So why would I start on a path to healing where I was convinced from the very beginning that this was what my life was going to look like? On social media, on Instagram, it may look like this overnight thing. You haven't gone back the years and years and years of this process. And because social media has gotten so popular in following people's progress, it looks like it's this overnight thing when it's really not. This is different for everyone and different for the newly diagnosed, for someone who's been in for 10 years, 20 years. This all looks different. So I'm not a physician. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to share my experiences. And I hope that what I have to say helps you in some way. You can take bits and pieces of it, or, maybe you'll be like, I want it all. And if you're watching the video of this podcast, this is going to be super fun because my dog is in the background of it all. He won't leave me alone. He has to be right next to me. I've been at work all day. Here we are. But this is my real life. When I talk about my real life journey, this is where we're at. Okay. So bracing for the progression, right? I was told MS was a progressive disease, that 80% moved to secondary. I was mentally preparing for that stage, still living fully. But in the back of my head, there was always this little voice saying, gear up for the worst. And kind of silently, because I didn't want to share that fear with my family. Certainly wasn't going to share it with my children. And I didn't really feel like I had friends that I could express. Multiple sclerosis was not a disease that many people understood. If you said cancer or a heart attack, or was this, okay, we kind of know the steps. We know what's going to happen. And this idea of, okay, I kind of know how to support. And I'm not comparing diseases, not at all. But I'm saying there was this pattern that you could follow in helping someone that had something more common. And so I didn't know, unless I talked to somebody that had multiple sclerosis or a neurological, there wasn't support really for that, talking about that fear and the things that could happen. So my mindset was still in this slow it down, but you're not going to heal. I was terrified to come off medications. And I even remember talking to a friend because she'd never been on them and she had MS. And I'm like, how do you deal? How does that not just terrify you? I couldn't imagine a day and time where I would be completely off medications. But here I am today. So how did I even get to this place where I said, yes, we're going to do this? I'm going to talk about what worked and what didn't work. What didn't work was jumping med to med to med. I started on one. That didn't work. Started on another one. I would go for a year, 6 months. And then I jumped to one that I stayed on for 5 years, but it comes with its own risks. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but you have to understand when you're in somebody with a chronic illness, you're trying one thing to the next and adding other medications on for other symptoms. So you're on your main medication for disease modifying. And then, that's causing some nerve pain also. So then you're on a prescription for nerve pain. MS can cause anxiety, and you might be on another med for anxiety. And here we go. Like you're talking to your primary care specialist, you're talking to your neurologist, and maybe you're going into physical therapy, and you're trying to build this team of people to support you, and you end up with prescriptions after prescription. And here I am in the health and wellness industry, and knowing it doesn't really sit with me right, that I'm on so many different things. And even these smaller medications aren't really doing it for me. They're not really fixing anything. Well, because they're not meant to. We'll get into that another day. But okay. So, what was my turning point? What worked for me? I moved to an area that I could heal. I was living in a not great environment for my system, which was too cold, poor air quality, and high stress, whether it be job, kids, family, on top of this disease. The environment that I was creating, I was declining at the time. And being able to move to a different environment that provided more sunshine, less stressful lifestyle. It didn't hurt that my kids were starting to move out, gotten through those teenage years, and they're going into this fabulous adults. And I started to feel a little better, but still trying to figure out medications. And the last medication that I went on really did a number on my mental health, my physical health, and I went downhill very quickly. Not just MS, but my mental health. I almost lost my jobs. I was ready to just run away from it all. And I couldn't figure out what was going on until the day that I literally almost snapped and was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this has anything to do with the medication that I'm on. And I decided, screw what the doctors are telling me. I know, I prayed about this. I knew I needed to come off this drug and advocate hard for myself. I told my doctor, my nurse, I am not going to take it anymore. I'm not coming in for the next infusion. And oh, they were so worried. What if? And I'm like, nope, I'm doing it. And the more it came out of my system, because it took 6 months after those infusions, you'd go in every 6 months, get another one. And it was going to clearly take that long to get out of my system. And the longer I was off of it, the more I started coming back to myself and the better I felt. And then I thought, okay, now I've got 2 options. Do I go on another one, go back to what I was doing before, or do I try to do this and see if all the things I've been doing is working? So I decided not to go on any more disease modifying drugs. So here is drum roll and what worked for me. 1, environment, sunshine, vitamin D. It's like a phone battery that I can stand out in the sun, be outdoors and recharge. Looking back now, I know I'm also learning to regulate a nervous system that is so dysregulated, not only because of the MS, but everything I've been dealing with over the years. And I am naturally learning how to be in that rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system. I am learning how to be there. And little by little, I'm feeling better. So 1, environment. 2, I have been slowly adjusting my diet to be a lower inflammation diet, gluten-free, no dairy, no eggs, adding extra vegetables in, extra protein, fueling my body. What a difference that made. The nutrients, gut healing. I could tell a difference right away when I started healing my gut just by the foods I was eating and not adding fuel to the fire of inflammation, which inflammation on me looks like pain. It feels like foggy brain, which a lot of those symptoms can be for anyone where they're eating like crap. It's going to come out somehow physically. And the gut biome is a big deal right now. Do your research on that. But I could tell that the diet was working and there's not a whole lot of room for cheating on that when you want to lower your inflammation. The next was exercise and figuring out what movement made my body feel better and helped my body move better. What did that look like for me? Well, I was already teaching Pilates and practicing Pilates. That was huge for cognitive because of the coordination involved with it and the stabilizer muscles that I needed. With MS, the signal from the brain to the muscles has a little bit of this disconnect and can send whatever signals it wants. The more you challenge it, the more neural pathways that you are building just by doing things different and keep that repetitiveness up, it helps. It's all a part of that healing process. So yes, there was that. Then next was figuring out how much cardio I could do, because if I overdid it, I could be down for days. And if I taught too many classes, my risk for injury went up and I had to find this balance. And it was this TikTok effect of like, oh, today I feel really good, so I'd push it too hard and then I'd be down. Finding balance in movement, adding in mobility, and the fascia classes and teaching that and sharing my knowledge on that has been life changing. All right. And here is the last thing that I have done recently. I had my DNA tested and went off what are my highest risk, what are my markers, and it falls right in line with where I'm at. Really fascinating. I'm going to link my friend who does these nutritionists and a personal trainer. What a fabulous report, because now instead of guessing what vitamins I think are going to help, and some do, and some I just hope work, I have a blueprint for what vitamins I need to actually support my system. And I just got started with this, but I'm so excited to keep going along this path. Okay. So here are my tips for healing. What does it really look like? Well, first of all, it's not pretending that MS doesn't exist. I know it's still there. I'm not cured. I said I'm healing. I know it's still there, but I do feel better. And there are still days and there are still times that I relapse. And if I put up two pictures of me, a picture of me when I'm having a good day and feeling awesome, and a picture of what it looks like when I'm having cognitive issues and I'm extra tired, they're actually going to look pretty similar because you don't tend to share that a whole lot or that side of your life because, again, and I'm still working on it. You don't really want anyone to see that you are in a weaker state. You're not sure if anyone's going to understand. So you kind of just keep plugging along. What has worked as I've worked on being more open about that, especially with people directly in my life that can help, is being open and communicating what that help is going to be, what I need it to be, so that I can get the rest and the assistance that is so hard to ask for. And I know that it is, but the more I accept that I'm not going to do it on my own, it is a lot easier when I go ahead and allow for that support, right? Uh, when I try to do it all on my own, that's when it gets tougher and tougher. And prayer, whether it's meditation, prayer, give yourself the time to acknowledge it, to give the attention to it that it needs, because it is hard. We're not meant to sit in that for too long. This healing process is very much too about your mental health. I think something that affects my memory is rough on some days. Okay, I had a lot of days. The forgetfulness and the where something at and trying to find things that you swear you just put down, or as simple as an appointment you swear you put twice into your calendar and you didn't at all. A conversation you've lost track of, don't remember talking to that person. I have a horrible, horrible time with names. And I'm in a job where I need to know so many names. And remembering that is a really tough one, and something that people can assume you don't care, or that you're not invested in them. And it's not the case at all. I often forget what my husband just said or conversation we just had. And he might have to repeat something over and over again because it does get frustrating to hear, I just told you that. I just said that. I said that yesterday. I already told you that. We already talked about this. And I do this and I raise my eyebrows. And because regardless, it's not there anymore. It's literally like sometimes it's just dumped out of my brain and been thrown away. The more stressed I am, the more my memory is gone. The hard parts of that are that I'm missing pieces of memories from my kids. And if I showed you how many photos I have in my phone, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like I have to buy like extra memory for my phone. It's not because I just don't delete them, but it's my memory. I realized that one day, looking at all these pictures. I love going back through them. Patience. Oh, I forgot that we did that. Oh, I forgot that we shared that moment. So am I the girl always taking the photos? Sure am. Am I the girl that's always trying to capture the moments and the memories of my friends' faces and my kids' faces, my family, my dog? Yeah, that's me, because I'm going back through them year after year and going, oh yeah, that's right, it's my memory. And if I sat with that too long, I do get terrified about years down the road and how much of that am I going to lose, which is why I had this DNA test, because yes, the highest DNA marker was my cognitive and my brain function. But there are things I can do. And I know a lot of them, but there's still a couple more things I can do in adding to that what works list. I know the things that don't, I'm still adding to the things that do. And so, yep, I'm going to keep taking all the photos. I'm still going to be that annoying friend that's snapping pictures. And it's not because I'm the girl taking selfies and posing, and I'm capturing memories. I am focused now on living well. I am focused now on improving my life for the future. I am adventure. I am about trying new things. And why they may seem small on someone else's list, big things on mine. I want to be able to drive more than an hour and a half because I get tired so fast. But the more I've healed, the longer I've been able to drive. Kind of a cool thing. Elevation was something that was a big factor and it affected me. If I went too high in elevation, really super fatigued. I want to be able to get up into the mountains a little bit higher, be able to drive through them myself. Okay, I'm terrified of heights, so that's probably not going to happen because I hate driving when there's drop offs. I literally have to like close my eyes, put headphones on, and pretend like it's not happening and let my husband drive. And that has nothing to do with my other host. That's just me. Healing isn't about going backwards. There will continue to be things that maybe aren't working, and I've got to pivot and rethink. And it's not that this list of things that's working is going to always be that same list, or the things that aren't working is always going to be that same list. It's going to change with time, and I'm just willing to go with it. I feel fabulous most of the time. So if you see me and you're like, where'd she get all her energy? It's probably because it's been a warm day. I was out in the sun more. I was outdoors. I just went on a hike. All just fills that battery back up. So every spring, and even those with seasonal affect disorders, right? They know this, like you're a little bit lower on the energy through the winter, and all of a sudden the spring hits, you're like ready to take off. So I encourage you to look at a list, write it down, keep a journal. These are the things that aren't working. These are the things that are, and these are my goals. And share them with who's in that group of people that are there for you. And what can you communicate to them? What can you share with them so that they know how to help you and be there for those goals and be there for those wins? All right, I'm signing out. And until next time, we're all going to be better than fine.